as we fight one another for the power and the glory. Jah kingdom goes to waste. We the people want to know just where we're going. Right now we hands are tied behind we back, while certain people if unbutton. Where do we stand? We have too far to go, not to really know just how we're getting there. And if we're getting anywhere, we have too much to change, not to know the range of possibility and changeability. Violence and crime is commonplace within these said times. No man walk free. Prophecy come closer to fulfillment in this dread times. Why should this be? And as we fight one another with the power and the glory, the kingdom goes to waste, and every drop of blood we taste. I feel we own this race, yeah. I feel we own this race. Can't build no foundation for a if and a but. Are we building a nation, or are we building a hut? And every time you ask with some old friend, you hear say just last night he meet a sad end. And if you talk too loud, and if you walk too proud, watch where you lay your head. Borrow the dread, well red. Can't build no dreams and a fuss and a fight. Me no care who I do it, just say that no right. And as we fight one another with the power and the glory, your kingdom goes to waste, and every drop of blood we taste. I feel we own this grace, yeah. I feel we own this grace. Can't build no dream on a fuss and a fight. Me no care who I do it, just say that not right. And as we fight one another with the power and the glory, your kingdom goes to waste, and every drop of blood we take.
As we fight one another for the power and the glory, Jah kingdom goes to waste. It is I, Mr. B, and tonight we have enough things I wanna address. You know, the as we fight one another for the power and the glory, according to Mr. Ernest Smith, Jah kingdom goes to waste. And so it is against his background that we open the show tonight. As me say, we have quite a bit of stuff to cover. Primary topic we're gonna look at is, of course, the Integrity Commission and the publication of the report dealing with the long outstanding statutory declaration from Jamaica's Honorable Prime Minister Andrew Holness. Rough ride, you know, but this is a matter that has been in the public domain for quite a while now. It's been out there, as I say, for more than a bit, and it's time that this thing has been addressed. A lot of people saw it as political football, political theater, and the tendency was to try to denigrate the information that it was represented in respect of this whole issue. And so, as we take a look today on this matter, especially now that the 171-page report tabled and presented to the Parliament in Jamaica, and which is now in the hands of multiple media houses. I, for one, through links, man, send me a copy of the report, spent the whole night last night, pour through it. And so, we, in order to have this discussion, I believe that this is a fair discussion that we have, and, timely. We have been buffeted for years by the innuendos out there. Innuendos, I'm going to call it that for the time being. There is this presumption as to the level of corruption that permeate the Jamaican society. And when you look at our track record over the years, it leaves a very bad taste in the mouth, as to where we are. Where are we going in respect of this thing? And so tonight we're gonna do our best to try to, put the pieces together and see how we can, how can we address this. Now, the Integrity Commission has basically been set up as a watchdog agency to provide, the kind of oversight to keep the politicians and the public servants in the country of Jamaica, land we love, honest. Every public servant at a certain level, particularly ministers of government, members of parliament, etc., have to submit a record of their financial status to the commission on an annual basis, and the report is required to provide any information on any changes in the asset or liability position of the reportee, right? And there's a whole heap of people, so it's not just politician. Is every person who is operating as a public servant in a Jamaica. This is not private sector now, but the public sector. And so one would feel that there is an obligation and that people will meet those obligations. The instant issue here relates to Prime Minister Andrew Holness. And, one of the things that is very depressing for a country such as Jamaica, 62 into now its 63rd year of independence, a country that has produced, significant scholars and, social and cultural personalities that have impacted, culture and politics and business and education all over the world, is that back home, when issues like these are raised, people tend to look at the issue through the political prism. So it is about politics. Nobody, it's almost as if you're not subscribing to being an accompaniment of one of the political gangs, right? And if you as a subscriber to either of the two political gangs, is either one or the other. In other words, no agency that has the responsibility for providing this kind of stewardship, policing, right, is deemed to be doing them job. So if you shine the light on a man as a JLP or a PNP, if you shine it on a PNP man, you hear say the commission who is turning on the light is being influenced by the JLP. And if the role is reversed and you shine the light on a JLP man, you hear that is politics and the members of the commission is politicized. Now, let me step back. Years ago, when I lived in Jamaica, I remember, you in corporate Jamaica, and I had the opportunity to speak with this guy who was in Jamaica visiting as a representative from the World Bank. And he made a point that as economies develop, what you see, the corruption becomes a lot less discernible. It's a lot more difficult to point out, by the casual observer. And those who are corrupt in their intentions find all kinds of ways to rob the public purse, right? And so in those days, the primary thing was the public purse and the raiding of the public purse by unscrupulous persons for their own personal benefit and the benefit of those who are close to them. And what this thing really does is that it robs the country of its resources. It robs Jamaica and the Jamaicans, especially those Jamaicans who are on the margin, the people who are a little less well off. They can't function because they don't have the resources to provide education, health care, security, transportation, etc., etc. And, it's surprising that those who are close to the trough, who are in bed with the people who are, executing those behaviors, don't say anything wrong with it. And so when you point them out, it's a personal thing and so on. And as a country, we have to grow beyond that. But I'm digressing because I want to focus on this thing. Now, the Integrity Commission submits this report. It's 170 odd pages, and as I say, I took some time to address it. And the Integrity Commission not only did that, they furnished a number of correspondences which they wrote to the Speaker of the House. They, in fact, asked the Speaker of the House to recuse herself from this matter. They also wrote a similar letter to the Clerk of the House and the Deputy Clerk and Speaker of the House to appraise them. And as the commission, the head of the Integrity Commission pointed out, that the nature of the situation, and because of the familial relationship between the Speaker of the House and the Prime Minister in this instance, who is the man of the moment, that the issues being dealt with, they were recommending that she recused herself from this matter, any consideration in this matter, and basically hand it over to the next in line, if you will, so that the proper levels of probity. Now, let me say this. Years ago, a little over a year ago, when it was announced that Mrs. Holness, the wife of the Prime Minister, was being elevated to the position of Speaker of the House of Representatives, when in the having gotten rid of Miss Dalrymple, who is also in another similar set of imbroglio, and so she had to walk away from the position. It was always my view that even though there is no law in Jamaica that prevented that, just from a matter of transparency, that it never make any sense doing that. To put the role of the person who is in charge of the parliamentary, the operations of the parliamentary process in the country, in the hands of the wife of the Prime Minister of Jamaica, who is the head of the government, in terms of the representative side of the government in the House, that it not make any sense. It does never, it is almost, there's no illegality, but morality said, and just prudence said, you shouldn't do that. And so yesterday, the shit hit the fan. The whole thing came up because now, and it basically exposed what I, for one, thought all along, that the Speaker of the House was preventing these matters from moving forward. So there was some level of, there's no transparency. And so we have this. Now, the commission in its report alluded to the fact that the Prime Minister, who has been in the House of Representatives for a number of years, he has been there since 1997, and he has always provided his statutory declarations on time. In fact, so it is not a question of him not providing the statutory declarations. And the question is, why would it be important for the Prime Minister in this instance to provide his statutory declaration on time? One, he is the head of the political, the government of Jamaica, right? He's the head of the executive branch of the government, and one expects that he's gonna set proper examples. The fact is, he has always been on time with his report. The problem is that they found in 2021, the commission saw that there was gaps in the report, right? And they were requesting, there was a backward and forwarding of him providing different levels of information to the body. And so and I will quote from chapter 1, which was a summary of investigations and findings from the PDF document that I have, 100 and odd pages, 171 pages. And it says, the declarant's net worth was calculated based on information that was included on statutory declaration for year ended 2021 and additional information provided by the declarant. The declarant's net worth grew by $51,555,076.22 over the 5-year period that ended December 31st of 2021. This calculation includes the conversion of income and net worth from US to Jamaican dollars. And they went on. They said there were unexplained changes in net worth was calculated as 4.49 million Jamaican dollars for the year ended December 31st of 2021. And although the declarant's net worth appeared to align with income for some years, the growth of the net assets of companies for which the declarant's close family members are majority shareholders and the actual contributions of the minority shareholders needed to be further examined, right? It goes on, and bear with me because me don't want to misquote anything, so may I read directly from the thing. It says, it is on the foregoing basis that the investigations commenced, the DI commenced an investigation into the instant matter. For clarity, this investigation was conducted on the basis of a referral in respect of the declarant's statutory declaration for the year 2021. And in order to think. So the issue was that there was discrepancies with the reporting. And as they went through the report, they said the investigators found that there were omissions of bank accounts from Mr. Holness' statutory declaration, which rendered the reference declaration incomplete and inaccurate. No, we were being led to believe that the issues were more minor, right? Now, they keep this in mind. Because the Prime Minister, in a release that was carried by the Jamaica Observer today, talked about the Integrity Commission quibbling over numbers, and he made reference to a figure of $1.9 million that they were claiming they needed more explanations on. And in his words were, this represents less than 1%. Remember, watch me now. This represents less than 1% of my adjusted net asset position. 1% of my net asset position, right? Less than 1%. No, less than 1%. Let us say it is only 1%, right? 1%. It says then that our Prime Minister, the Honorable Andrew Holness, has net liquid asset, right? His gross net liquid assets, by his own admission, is in excess of 190 million Jamaican dollars. Now, this is not talking about hard assets like property and so on. This is just cash, right? Now, I wanna play. I hope I can get this up. A report that the Prime Minister made in Parliament, because the media is trying to represent this issue, and they figured that after tabling the document, they gave him an opportunity to speak. Now remember, we have a Prime Minister that, by his own admission, he comes from the salt of the earth. He is a salt of the earth Prime Minister, right? He grew up in a 2-room boathouse in a Spanish town. And nothing wrong with that, Let me make it clear. Because that's where I come from too. I have no, in fact, me very proud that a man can come from the bowels of the Jamaican society and make it good, right? And so when that happened, me now have no problem to tell you, say, me proud of our PM, right? Absolutely proud. And so when he makes the argument that me come from a borders, now our Prime Minister is just about 50 years old. He came into the political sphere in 1997. That my recollection is. He came in 1997. And he became a member of Parliament, which means that he has been in politics for 27 years. He says he's 30, right? May I give him 27, which is 27 years mean that is more than half of his life. Half of his life he has been in politics. In the course of between 1997 and 2 years ago, the average politician in Jamaica, member of Parliament, don't earn more than 50,000 United States dollars. I mean, I do it in a US dollar, right? As pay. The average. We're not our Prime Minister money yet, just member of Parliament. Now, Mr. Holness tell you say him come from boardhouse dwelling, which is great because it say to every little barefoot youth down in Jamaica who not now go on for them, right? That you can make it because him do it. Eh? And so here is a man who never have no other job because by the time he come in politics, he will be just about 23, 24 years old. So he not have no grounding in nothing yet that he can say he make a big salary in them kind of thing. And we not talk, we remember, the money what we are talking about is $100 and almost $200 million, right? In a cash. The Integrity Commission found that there were some 28 bank accounts, different financial accounts that bears the imprint of our Honorable Prime Minister. And in a multiple of cases, the sums now add up, right? And people are out there operating as if people are covetous people, covetous and them grudge the Prime Minister. And me, I go say this to people that nothing goes. So we as a country, right? If we can bring ourselves to ask, to demand rather, we don't have to ask, demand, because if the Prime Minister don't want nobody ask him them kind of question, they leave the work as Prime Minister and go in a private sector where nobody can tell you what to do. You are running your own business, no man can ask you how much money you make. But as long as you are work for the people of Jamaica, you are answerable to the people of Jamaica. And the Integrity Commission speaks for the people of Jamaica, right? By providing the kind of probity, right? And insisting that the questions as to how you accumulated this wealth. Nobody now say you thief nothing, or you take away thief people money and whatever, or the government money. People are saying the trail of your accumulation of wealth relative to how you have been generating your income. You don't have no dead left in your life where you can say, boy, my parents dead and or somebody in my family left a piss pot load of money. I mean, inherit that. And even if that is the case, you have to show the origin of the funds. That's all this thing is about, We are kicking this thing around like it's a political football, like we are, and others from a political standpoint, we don't believe in a Jamaica anymore, It's not a Jamaica thing. It's my leader, and you can't question my leader. When we did have the ousting a couple years ago, a man said, well, no one the Prime Minister live in a fall club. The question people was asking is, if you never come from no big money, or you can build a house that value over $1 million US, where the money come from? And you don't have no loan on the house. And them question the people that ask, it don't have nothing to do with nobody covetous, nobody. Because here where we live in an environment, an era, global environment where you must know who it is who is financing your political representatives. Because if these people are being backed by others who have devious intentions, right? Who provide money for run them campaigns so that when they win, they will peel stuff off into their direction to the detriment of the country. These are the reasons why we do these things, So that if you wanted to be in cahoots with somebody who is of ill intention, then politics is not where you're going to go do it. Because in a politics, you answer to the people of Jamaica. And so when we are trying to, and I listen to the Prime Minister, let me see if we can play this thing, right? Because I listen.
How do celebrities like Justin Bieber and The Rock generate hundreds of millions of dollars? It's actually not what you think.
An investigation report, ruling, and special report to Parliament concerning an investigation into my statutory declarations for the year 2021. The reports have now been tabled, and I have since had a chance to read the concluding paragraphs of the ruling of the Director of Corruption Prosecution, the 5-page summary, and peruse the recommendations and conclusions, while acknowledging that the report together totals just under 200 pages. The parts that I have read appear to give a sufficient sense of the findings. First, I welcome the fact that the report is finally tabled 2 years since this process began. I also take note of the fact that the Commission tabled both the report and the ruling of the Director of Corruption Prosecution at the same time. The last time this was not done. Based on what is said in the summary, queries were triggered because it is alleged that I had omitted bank accounts from my declaration. And one of these accounts was incorrectly reported as a US dollar balance by a financial institution. These matters were cleared as the accounts in question, by my recollection, were dormant, previously reported, and the balance in them were around Jamaican $3,000 and 200 euros. Subsequently, my declaration were once again referred for further scrutiny for accuracy and completeness. Other accounts were identified and alleged to be belonging to me, but undeclared. Some of these accounts were opened by my parents as far back as 1975, and my name later added, probably while I was still a child. Many Jamaicans add their children to their accounts for survivorship reasons and in the event of emergency. I have never claimed these as my assets. And I am satisfied that the Director of Corruption Prosecution ruled that there was insufficient evidence to support claims that I intentionally omitted bank accounts from my declaration, and that there is greater evidence to support my explanation as opposed to evidence to the contrary. I also note that no other matter in the report was referred to the authorized authority, that is, the Director of Corruption Prosecution. The summary of the report outlined that my personal financial affairs from 2018 to 2023 was examined, including associate private third-party businesses and transactions. Over 3,600 transactions, the Commission in its own report.
All right, hold on now. So, because Prime Minister engage in a practice that I refer to as obfuscation, right? I get a whole heap of talking, but him really not say nothing, because what I do is just dance over the facts. The reality is that the Integrity Commission wanted explanation. You have an account with 700,000 US dollars, right? That the Prime Minister is a member of a director of our party to companies, that he is a director shareholder of these companies that essentially don't pay no taxes. They declared no taxes, paid zero taxes for the year, right? But they are lending, huge sums of money, transferring to other companies to which the Prime Minister is related, or have some stake in. Now, you're hounding companies in Jamaica for taxes, right? but a company that you are involved in, well, it's not just one, several of them, don't declare no tax, no profit for the year, right? And basically pay $0 in taxes, but is on lending huge sums of money to other connected companies, right? And so what that represents is the presence of some incestuous relationship, right? That's essentially what that's a significant issue. And you, as the leader of the country, is a party to that kind of transaction. Now, you've got to turn around and lock down and prison the directors of other companies who would do the same thing, right? But you are a beneficiary of similar situations, and nobody is speaking to that. These are some of the issues. And so when the thing is raised, there is a need for the provision of answers, right? So it's one thing to be talking about, you're basically talking around the issue. It's quite another thing to provide the kind of information that would speak to this issue, and that is to provide the facts, not any obfuscation.
We've
right?
all the signs that help your small business stand out. We've written tabletop.
So unless we are going to be addressing the issue in its in thing, that we need to stop. Here's another report.
Told members of the media that he waited until this point to release the documents he filed with the Integrity Commission because he was waiting on permission to do so from the commission, which he says he still hasn't received. While Jamaica public servants are required to submit their financial documents to the Integrity Commission, there is no legal requirement to do so to the public.
All right, that's a much earlier report, and I'm trying to pick up a report that was carried as part of a news item, and here we go. This is the TVJ Primetime News report.
Welcome back to Primetime News.
And a special welcome once again to our viewers on TVJ International in the Cayman Islands and online at onespotmedia.com.
The Integrity Commission is insisting that it cannot certify the Prime Minister's assets, liabilities, and income unless the Financial Investigations Division, FID, examines the matter. The FID is basically responsible for probing financial crimes.
Now, the Integrity Commission is seemingly concerned about the movement of millions of dollars among 3 companies associated with the Prime Minister, Dr. Andrew Holness. Andrea Chisholm has been reading the report and now joins us live. Andrea?
Well, Janella, the update comes as the long-awaited Integrity Commission report on the Prime Minister's statutory declarations was tabled Tuesday in the House of Representatives. Now, we must point out that the report is 171 pages, so we're still going through the details. Plus, there's a special report as well as an addendum and other details. Now, the report showed that the Integrity Commission was mainly focused on 3 companies associated with the Prime Minister.
The 3 companies that form part of the Integrity Commission's probe are Estate Bridge Development Company Limited, Imperium Investments Holdings Limited, and Positive Media Solutions Limited. All 3 are linked to Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness. Due to the complexity of the matter, the Integrity Commission hired an independent forensic examiner to assess the financial transactions between the 3 companies and determine the true value of the investments. The authorities looked at bank statements involving the 3 companies. Those bank accounts were held at 3 financial institutions: the National Commercial Bank NCB, NCB Capital Markets, and Barita. Now, intercompany deposits among the 3 companies linked to the Prime Minister totaled roughly $473.2 million. Intercompany withdrawals amounted to roughly 427.2 million. That's for the period 2020 to June 2023. The Integrity Commission said records submitted for Imperium and the explanations from Dr. Holness do not fully account for the transactions. In addition, financial statements and other documentation from Imperium do not account for the movement of over $72 million from Positive Media to Imperium. Likewise, the management accounts of Positive Media and other documentation submitted to the Commission do not account for the amounts advanced to Imperium. Now, there's also an interesting development with the tax authorities. Tax Administration Jamaica indicated that Imperium filed a nil tax return for 2021 and 2022, meaning the business did not declare any income or expenses on the form. However, Imperium earned over $5.1 million in 2021 and over $6.5 million in 2022 in dividend, exchange gains, interest, and other income. Expenses for Imperium in 2021 were roughly $9.8 million, and for 2022, roughly $9.5 million. Estate Bridge also filed a nil tax return for 2021, however, interest income was over $1 million. The Integrity Commission is therefore urging Parliament to support the matter being referred to the Financial Investigations Division FID. The Commission says there can be no finality in the matter until the FID has completed its work.
Now, after the report was tabled in the House, the Prime Minister was given the opportunity to make a personal statement. Now, Dr. Holness welcomed the fact that the report was tabled 2 years after the investigation began. He said he would be seeking legal advice on the report and the recommendations. He also said that he worked hard for what he had and made it clear that the interrogation of his personal affairs is not in any way connected to public funds.
All right. So I wanted to get that out there, and I must apologize. I'm just learning that the program is not streaming on the website, so we're gonna run this back later as a recorded product. So this is a very, very, indeed a very serious matter for all of us as Jamaicans. Because what it points to, it is a situation where none of us can be bigger than the guardrails or above above being brought into books by the guardrails that regulate us. If you are not interested in being, in having to report to people who you may think are your underlings, then you shouldn't be in public service, right? The reason why these entities have been put in place is to protect the resources of the country. It is also to protect the country from influences that are external to it, who may find a way to winkle themselves into positions of influence where they impact the affairs of the country, right? By having a sway over personalities within the areas of government of the country. That's the reason why we do stuff like this. So when people out there operate as if, people are come after the Prime Minister, call them jealous thing, that is the biggest bullcrap I've ever heard. We have to recognize as a country that our institutions are bigger than those who, even if they are providing oversight, right, that the institutions are strong enough that it basically keeps them, keeps them honest. Let's put it that way. Nobody is assessing or casting aspersions as to the integrity or the honesty of the Prime Minister. Nobody's not doing that. Well, I certainly not doing that. I believe that as a Jamaican and one who have the country's interest at heart, that I have a responsibility to ventilate issues like this and bring it to the wider public attention. We're not doing this because we want to make anybody look bad. Far from it. Absolutely far from it. What we're doing is that we are making sure, because, traditional media has over the years operated in such a way, and that there is no investigation being done by the operators within these entities, and so matters such as these always gets brushed aside, right? And so this media environment that we now operate in provide us, people like myself, who have access to a microphone. I have no interest in trying to denigrate or to show up anybody. That is not. There's nothing is further from the truth. I have no such interest. There's nothing for me to gain by trying to do that. Certainly, my interest is probity, right? And I just believe that nobody is bigger than the system. And so if we have a Prime Minister who don't want to report or nobody to question him, then maybe he shouldn't be in that kind of public office. The other side, though, is also true. And because my thing is, you have accumulated this kind of wealth in the last, certainly the last 10 or so years. It's a little less than that, right? How did you do that? Because if there is a assuming that this is legitimate, right? It is a story that needs to be shared with every Jamaican. Jamaicans need to know what it is that our goodly Prime Minister is doing that they themselves haven't been doing to enjoy the level of prosperity that you're talking, that the Honorable Prime Minister is currently enjoying, right? And so if there is a magic approach, if there is something, if there is something that you are doing that others could learn from, assuming that what your activities that you're engaged in are all above board, the public needs to know. It's a story that maybe some of them programs like a profile or whatever it is should be having a podcast to show how the average little man in Jamaica can do better or do as well as our Honorable Prime Minister do. Because that's what we're talking about. That your mandate when you took over the country is to bring prosperity. It can't be just prosperity for you alone or your hand-picked few, but prosperity for the average Jamaican, right? So that information needs to be shared. Beyond that, the facts are that the level of wealth accumulation of our Honorable Prime Minister over the last couple of years is unexplained based on the evidentiary information that has been provided. Nobody now say you thief no money or you take away the country money or thing. And if that is the case, provide the documentation so we can track it, right? Because, again, your words, Mr. Holness, I come from a little boardhouse, 2-room boardhouse down a Spanish Town. And I have been here and I work hard. Your words, I work hard. So make we know what you do, because in our book, for most of the time that the Prime Minister has been in politics, between 1997 and certainly 2021, because in 2023 last year, they give yourself a bitch raise that moved the pay from some $7 or $8 million to $20 and $30 million, and it was retroactive. So and retroactive to 2021, if I remember correctly. So you give yourself 2 years worth of pay increase plus the current year. But that still can't explain how you come by a net cash reserve of a net cash position, your words, of in excess of 1.9 of $190 million. People want to know. The country have a right to know that, right? The country have a right to understand how you explain your relationship as a part owner of companies that, despite making a profit, declared a zero tax return to the government, but is moving huge sums of money around from one entity to the next, right? The country need answers to stuff like that, right? Nobody now call you no thing. Nobody now point a finger at you. Me certainly not do that. My responsibility, my role is just simply to provide some answers, because people out there, most people in Jamaica are afraid to ask them kind of question, because the argument down a yard is when you raise these kind of questions, people start to wonder if them get visit from the taxman and them come under pressure through the system, right? So because of that, nobody down in Jamaica don't want to say nothing. But we can't live like that. The country can't work like that, right? Cannot. So we have to find a way, right? We have to now get these facts out. The Integrity Commission has made the point that, given the status of the information that they have received or they now have in their possession, they can't make a ruling per se, because clearly the gravity of the situation based on the information that they have requires that they bring in additional investigators, the Financial Investigative Division, etc., the Tax Administration Department to have to come in, have to get involved, because there is an issue there that seems to suggest that entities to which you have a relationship, Mr. Prime Minister, have seemingly subverted the process and have not paid any taxes, right? That which is a requirement of companies doing business in Jamaica if you have declared a profit. Most of these companies are not owned in the public domain in terms of having themselves listed on the stock exchange. So you could say they are benefiting from tax windows that are conveniently closed or tax holidays. And if that is the case, that information needs to be made public. This is information, this is in essence transparency. And it's clear that the level of transparency that applies in the course of this situation leaves a lot to be desired, right? I will encourage everybody to try to get a hold of the paperwork, because there is a whole heap in there. I went through the report last night. I never go through all the pages because a lot of it is thing. In fact, one of the things that struck me about the the report too is that the Integrity Commissions talked about having requested information on bank accounts and that bank account information submitted was inconsistent with the information that they have, because not only did they request the information from the subject person being investigated, they went about their business and go and visited the respective institutions and asked for a record, a register of all of the accounts that the subject is associated with. And when they, measured it against what was being presented as report, they determined that some of the bank accounts were not being reported, right? And so, don't give me a story that the account them no report of $200 US or 3,000 Jamaican dollars, because it's more than that, right? And so again, obfuscation, which is almost a deliberate way of sort of hiding the information. It's a misleading of the public. The public need to know these things. It is not private. When you're in a public space, there's nothing that is private. I'm sorry. That's the price you pay for the job that you have taken. You work hard to win the couple of elections and to occupy the seat. But with your accepting of that role comes with it the necessity for probity, right? That Jamaicans are able to ask questions of your activities, right? And get reasonable answers, accurate answers. Nobody now give thing. If you want to commit a crime, that the people discover it and find out, say, you broke the law. And you do that depends on you, Mr. Prime Minister. And if you do that and you broke the law and find, you for go to prison, just like everybody else. If you're prison, you for go on a prison. Because this is the job. The Godfather movie, the man say, this is the job that we have undertaken. And so you have undertaken to become Prime Minister of Jamaica, right? But at the same time, you want to eat your cake and still have it. You want to be Prime Minister and you have a doctorate and you have, wealthy than the king of whatever. While you think, right? I don't know how you do it, but I'd love to find out. I'd also love to find out, me personally, is because clearly the man who do your investment is a magician. And I would love to know him because I would me have 2 little shekels that I could have put in there and see if him could have grown me something too, right? But the bottom line is that Jamaicans need to know, right? And that's all the Integrity Commission. I resent this notion that because the people at the Integrity Commission is doing their jobs, right? And because it is having a negative reflection, if you will, on the persons involved, right? That your followers are taking the position that is personal, right? The Integrity Commission is headed by eminent personnel. We have some of the most eminently qualified Jamaicans who are involved. The chairman of the Integrity Commission is retired Justice Seymour Panton. Now, the man are eminent, legal luminaries, right? The man don't have no reason for want to make our Prime Minister look bad or any public servant. They're just doing their jobs. And if you guys take on these responsibilities, but you refuse to follow the rules, then you need to be loaded up. Nobody now come after you with any malice. Everything we do in Jamaica, if it not suiting your politics. And then some people who supposed to know better, me no worship nobody. Me no bear nobody no ill will. My thing is, we need to deal with the facts, the truth, right? And we need to put it out there. Because if a nation, if your people are in the dark, there is no opportunity for them to grow, for the country to progress. And we can't have a country where just one or two man are do good. My thing is, whatever you do, Mr. Holness, right? Whatever it is that you out there do, you need to share that information with the rest of the country so that maybe them can take a page out of your book, right? Because what may I say, no make no sense. Now, there's another last point I want to make is I see where the leader of the opposition, right? I see where the leader of the opposition is calling on the Prime Minister to resign, right? I'm not sure that there's any anything useful that is going to come out of that. Remember, the Prime Minister has not been charged with any commission of a crime. There is some whole heap of gray areas in terms of the report that we have seen. There's a lot of gray areas, unanswered questions even. But I don't see anything represented yet that rise to the level of criminality. I'm neither yay nor nay in respect of that. All I'm saying is I am not seeing that, right? And so as the Prime Minister for resign, I don't know if that's necessary. But that's a politics. I may not see the necessity for bringing that. My thing is the opposition leader would be better served to, as a legal luminary himself, unless you have a different view as a learned man than people like myself who a bush law me know about, right? And you want to amplify, enlighten us with your legal luminary skills to say why you have, which laws have been broken, what crime has been committed. Granted, not submitting your statutory declaration on time is a crime. It is a crime. We have a instance of officers of the government who were terminated for those reasons. The guy who was at the Registrar General's department down at Spanish Town, them run him for the same purpose. So, but that is not the case with the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister has gaps and elements of his statutory declarations that have a whole heap of gray areas. Remember, the Integrity Commission has forwarded those documents to the Financial Investigative Division and to the Tax Administration Department. And I would hope that there is some level of what we call, we independent adjudicators, if you will, who will take a look at these representations. And if a crime is committed, different argument. If the Prime Minister is breaking the law, then he must step away, right? Me not have no iron in the fire. I hold no brief for neither the PNP nor the JLP. My brief is for Jamaica. We must do everything in our power as Jamaicans to ensure probity, to ensure that the people who put themselves up to serve the country does that and operate in the interest of all Jamaicans, not just themselves and them family members or those who within them own circles, but them operating in the interest, the best interest of all Jamaicans, right? And there is a learning opportunity here because it's the first time in my lifetime and since the Integrity Commission has been in place that we have had an opportunity to see its workings. And I'm happy that these people have continued to do their job despite some of the negative press that they get. The media has been not very supportive because one would figure that there would have been better and more in-depth investigative reporting from the media houses and a more balanced exposure as opposed to the kind of political sidelining that is taking place. But again, we are people. And one of the things that when it involves human beings is that we're subject to error. Here is an opportunity for us to learn, right? So going forward, we don't make these mistakes again. Nobody is saying that people can't have money. I'm wishing because I love have some money too. That's why I want to know what the Prime Minister investment manager, because I would like a little use off for the Monday. As long as I don't know bandulo thing, would I like to know, right? And so, but you have to show me because the Prime Minister skill, because I'm skilled that him can amass this huge wealth while he must serve as Prime Minister in a country where have all kind of problems, COVID and crime and everything and him can amass this massive portfolio of wealth. While him also get a PhD too. So him skill, would I love to know how you do that. But me no grudge it. Right? All me say is if you broke the law, right? I may agree. When me see some people that talk about the Integrity Commission have the authority to send anything to FID. Bullshit that. Right? These are people who are learning. We need to recognize that these people who are running these places are some of the best qualified people in the country. And that there are people who, regardless of the fact that them go at the ballot box when a voting time and them vote for whoever, that there are people out there who can vote for one side or the other, but when they do them job, them do it to the best of their ability without fear, favor, or bias, right? We have to be able to accept that. And I believe that we have Jamaicans who are of that ilk, right? We have whole heap of Jamaicans, not just one or two people. So let's see how this play out, right? Whole heap more to come, and I would love that we continue to, to inform the country as to the developments as they go along. Because me personally believe that, people need to know, right? Hugo Campbell, thank you for your observation, sir. Me, I try and be as balanced as I possibly can. Past the days when we run down politics and we kill one another or we tear down one another, one side or the other because they're the next side. I'm not interested in that. What I like is that the country where we come from, where my family live, that it become the best country in the world. And the only way we can do that is to get it right. Here is an opportunity to get it right? And, one person, Holness should resign because this doesn't look good. It casts a doubt. Opal Morris Powell, my thing is resign for what? Until we can say that him broke, if we have evidence that he broke the law, that he committed a crime. If he commit a crime, and we have the evidence to support that, we can't go off a innuendo where we think because it not look good. No look good is not law. What we have to look at, we have to be guided by the facts and the law. I have no brief for Mr. Holness. My thing is if him commit a crime, you have to lock him up, right? Whatever. Him need to let him walk and lock him up and him pay the full thing. But me not see, nobody not said show me anything yet where him commit no crime, right? It may not look good politically, but that is a ballot box decision. When an election call, people must vote based on them take. But me no go off of emotion. Me go off of facts. And me go off of the law. And me no convinced yet. Because me no see anything. Me no see enough. Me go back into the report. But me no see, there's a whole heap of cloud. Yes, there is. But that no, unless we are say a thief, the prime minister thief the money, and if that him do, we find out, lock him up. But if him no commit no crime, you can't. Where you run him for? Where you ask him to resign for? It may not look good, I agree. But when the voting day come at the election, if people feel that strongly about it, you must go to the ballot box and decide that. That's all, right? The argument that him lied to the Jamaican people by saying he was not part of an illicit thing, we don't know that yet either. Because this is not saying he's one of the illicit yet, nobody has said so, right? And until somebody said to him that you are one of these persons, right? You and I can't say that he was lying. Again, the feeling thing can be, we can't come to a discussion just on the basis of feelings. Because me don't want a man, if me know you and somebody outside the road accuse you for something wrong, and me know say I rubbish them out, me tell them say I rubbish them out. Me will defend you. And me will defend him too. Because until we know that him is a liar, right? But him being a liar is not a crime. If him lie, right, again, it's a ballot box issue because of issue of trust, right? And so when the time comes for vote, you deal with it that's all, right? We have to ease out of the emotion. Billy Walker said there needs to be an impartial investigation grounded in fairness, facts, and law. Absolutely, Billy. And that's so me feel, right? We cannot allow ourselves to get drawn into a discussion, based on innuendo and, our political leanings. We're bigger than that now. And I think you are saying the same thing as me, Billy. We're bigger than that. We have to, they need an independent office. But they have an independent office. The offices are there. We need to give the authorities and the institutions that are in place the opportunity, the time to do their jobs. That's it. The Financial Investigative Division, are we saying that these people are not competent enough? I don't think so, right? There are hundreds of Jamaicans within the public sector who are committed civil servants, who are not bounded by political loyalties, who are career civil servants, right? And they are able to do a proper job without getting into the weeds, right? And so let us have these discussions. Let us ventilate the issues, look at the facts in concert with the laws that govern. Let's do that. But and until that happens, it's not a feelings thing. Just like people say, oh, people grudge the prime minister because I'm a big house. Nobody not grudge him. We just want to know you come buy the money if you buy it. That's all. Right? And there are some questions that you have to answer. You're not too big for answer the people because you are a servant of the people of Jamaica. Myself included. And you, Opal. Right? And so we must demand that these people answer these questions. Right? We must force them to answer these questions. And there are multiple ways that you can do that. And then when the time comes where you gonna have a say is when the time come and the ballot box come in your community where it's time for vote. That's when you speak, right? I agree. Corruption all over the place. But the corruption there everywhere now. Everywhere. When a man a drive and him broke the speed limit and the police come and him squeeze $1,000, $5,000 bill in behind the driver's license. Now corruption that too. Him corrupt and the police corrupt. But corruption they're all over the place, everywhere, right? When you them lock off your water, and instead of you wait the time for the man them come and thing, you get a man for fix back the pipe, and then you organize with a little man where you know a water commission and pay him money so that the thing go away. Corruption that too. Corruption, the society is corrupt, right? And these people who are your political representatives and public servants they are drawn from the general population, and if the population corrupt, the likelihood is that you are going to have some of these same corrupt people who find themselves in these positions. It takes time to change it. We never just come here last night, you know. We've been building this for the better part of the last 60, 70 years, right? We have created these institutions of corruption. And unless we work assiduously to change it, it's not going to change, right? And that is why the leadership becomes so important. That is why if the Prime Minister is willfully misleading the institutions, lying, and the investigators catch him in a lie, right? Catch him in a lie. He must answer for that lie, right? And if him not have the decency, him and whomever else is caught in this position to recuse themselves, then when the time comes for you and the average Jamaican to have a say, that's when you must deal with it, right? But keep in mind that the problem of corruption is one that has plagued Jamaica. Me a big old man, big old ass steering man, and I can tell you, we have had, when me there school, little boy at school, in a 5th, 6th form, man I play Manning Cup, and them come and have people that doctor them birth certificate because them want to play. And you're supposed to left school at 19. Some of them are at 22. And them doctor them birth certificate for sure, so them are 16. Right? And in a school till them are grow beard and grey hair and them seed are drop down. And them are play Manning Cup football. May I tell you? And that are from in the 1970s. That's 50 odd years ago. So when me not talk off of those rain, me talk off of the facts because me see it, right? And me I tell you, it not change. It has only gotten worse. Because over the period, we did nothing to contain that. Some of the same man, me catch them and me say, you know, if you're still a doctor, your birth certificate. Because them do it. And a common thing. Common thing. Me go to school and me go to KC 1969. And when me end up at 5th form in 1974, man who when me go to KC in 1969, they are 4th form, no reach 5th form yet, after 5 years, and them still there school. I play football and cricket and I run track, right? So, just so you know, we are a corrupt society, right? And just as me give the example with the policeman and the ticket, them little thing they're small, you know, but them add up, right? And so we are draw our politician from the same population where the criminal them come from, the police, everybody. So what we do? We need a rebirth, a change, and that change come opal when you take your kids and your friend them take for them kids and talk to them and change them thinking. Is a process, right? Is a process. Gotta leave it right there. You know, we have some problems. They're not difficult to solve, but they're gonna take time. They're gonna take time. I'm glad they agreed with me. You know, and all the while they agree with me, so I'm glad. But it takes time, and it requires the input of all of us. That's why I do this program. You know. I'm understanding that the program wasn't running on the website, so I'm going to stream it back after I'm done and run it on the side. But, you know, we have to Opal, it's going to take all of us. And it's going to take all of us where we, if you know, your politician, you may know them personally, you have to demand better from them. And you have to say to your community, as a collective, we need to demand better from these people. Because if you don't do that, them feel so them a Superman. Right? Them not have to answer nobody. Me. I was quite impressed with the Prime Minister in the way how he addressed the issue in the Parliament yesterday. Not with the braggadocio. I hear him say, well, we need to make changes to the law. And it's not for him to do that, because he has been snared by the system. And so him can't ask that we change the system because it capture him. Right? The system capturing him and him asking for it to be changed is a suggestion that something wrong with it. No, we can't do that. That's not for him to do that, right? And that's what Jamaicans need to be saying to the Prime Minister, because they might not believe that they are God Almighty, right? And these institutions are there. What we need to do is strengthen them, right? We can't take away them authority. Because we can fire people and then we put other people who are more amenable to the positions where we want to be there. We have to do better than that, right? And that, I will tell you, that call out Prime Minister. You can't talk about you want to change this because something is wrong with something that you have done. Let us investigate that, right? When we find out what it is, let us put a group of independent thinkers who don't have no horse in the race to take a review. Systems must be reviewed from time to time. That is a fact. But the man who has been snared by the thing can't be the man who are called for the review, because you the authority and you figure, because the feeling is that you probably figure that you are above being snared by this thing and this enough for you. Just like how we have some man up America who believe that the law them no answer to the law. Them bigger than the law. You have to put them in a prison so them know. Take back your power. And the day when the election run, that's your power. Right? Your job is to tell 20 people to vote. No matter who you have vote. And make them, each of them, they tell 20 people and we multiply it so that more of the nearly 2 million people on the voters list turn out and vote. It is not sufficient to say, why politics are rare, I mean, I vote. A foolishness. Because if that is the case, you're going to end up with what we now have. Jamaicans need to understand that they vote these people in, and if they're not doing anything they're supposed to do, then you vote them behind. Absolutely. You're getting my point. And they work for the citizens, and the citizens should stop putting them. Absolutely perfect. I should have framed this, right? That's where we need to go, Opal. People are not bigger than the law, right? This is a lesson to every Jamaican. Every one of you out there need to find a copy of this document, read it, have discussion groups going about it. Not because you try to tear down the Prime Minister, but it's just that him is in the crosshairs right now in terms of what he did. And if the commission determined that him did a wrong, what we must now do is learn from it, right? And if he broke the law, the system must hold him accountable. And then I will agree with the opposition man, say him for step, right? Let the chips fall where they may. Gotta leave it there, guys. It has been a pleasure. Join me again on the weekend, because we are going to do a Saturday version of this, where we're going to, gather all of the information that would have come into play. Nobody's bigger than the law. That's Diddy. You're right about that, Billy. That is another case, boy. Too early to comment yet, but that is going to be an interesting case. We are in for some interesting times, just like how the politics. I believe the election in America here is a foregone conclusion, regardless of any polls I tell you. It's going to be very interesting. There's a time. I think everything is coming to a head. And so we just have to wait. But again, guys, thanks Opal for your participation. Thanks everybody. Let us we're gonna do this again on Saturday, and Saturday evening we could probably start around 7 o'clock, and I invite the participation. We're gonna run this version of the program tomorrow on the website, so for those people who weren't able to join. Until the weekend, folks, enough love, enough respect, as Ernest Smith say in the song, you know, we the people want to know, and I leave you on that note. Mr. Ernest Smith.
And as we fight one another,
we the people,
for the power and the glory, Jah kingdom goes to waste. We the people want to know just where we're going. Right now we hands are tied behind the back, while certain people if unbutton. Where do we stand? We have too far to go, not to really know just how we're getting there. And if we're getting anywhere, we have too much to change, not to know the range of possibility and changeability. Violence and crime is commonplace within these said times. No man walk free. Prophecy come closer to fulfillment in this dread times. Why should this be? And as we fight one another with the power and the